Hello everyone, welcome back to SwitchUp and to our Sunday sales episode where we bring you quite a few games that should run well on Switch 1 or 2.
Yeah, we've got a number of games here to look at, 10 in total from across all regions. We've tried to get as many different regions in and make sure everyone is accounted for on that front to try and save everyone a bit of money.
Remember, you can win a game each and every week. Just leave your comments down below. Here's the winner of the free game from last week. Congratulations. They did well, didn't they, Glen?
Very well indeed, yeah. You can also use our website, SwitchUp.gg, to save yourself a bit of money on your eShop cards. You'll get yourself 5% of your purchase price back as cash back. So which games have we picked this week? Well, let's find out.
All right, I'm going to kick us off then with one of my favourites, Phoenotopia Awakenings.
I believe so, yeah.
And this one was very much like Zelda 2 back in the day, which was a very hard game.
Zelda 2 was disgustingly hard, yeah, very difficult game.
This took its inspiration from that, both in terms of its gameplay design. This is also long, this is like 50 hours long.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah, it's an absolute beast. And it's one of those that has this lovely cutesy art style. And then you get to the first boss and it hands you your arse on a plate.
Yeah.
It's like, whoa.
I love it when games do that. I love/hate when they hide their difficulty behind their art style.
Yeah.
And you think, yeah, I've got this, look at this, look at that little bunny rabbit, it's fine. And then they just muller you.
Honestly, that first boss took me about 10 goes.
Wow.
And it was for a review as well. I was like, oh no. There's that panic, isn't there?
Yeah, I'm not going to get past this first stage, yeah.
It's never happening. But the guy that makes this is a real legend as well. Again, very small, I think even solo indie, or a very small team at least. But for 65% off, it's such an easy recommendation. I'm sure it scored in the 90s or thereabouts. So yeah, go check out our full review if you're interested. A great game to pick up.
Lovely, let's move on to SIFU next at 70% off as it currently stands. This is like a martial arts action game slash movie almost, isn't it, you know?
It really is. This feels like a Neo simulator. You know, like when Neo gets his powers, he's just blocking with one arm.
Yeah.
Like if you get good at this game, you can do that.
Yeah, and it is tough.
Yeah.
You do need to get good, or play on easy, you know, whichever you prefer.
Get good.
But no, it's a very good game. I love the way it mixes video game with action movie tropes. It's very clever in how it does it. I'd be interested to see how this one plays on the Switch 2.
I think this would be an interesting one. There especially were a few performance drops and stuff.
Exactly right, yeah. So it's one that we would recommend. We can't comment on its Switch 2 performance yet. I'm sure it's one we'll look at. If you have played it on the Switch 2, please do let people know down below how it performs now. But yeah, 70% off on that one until the 8th of July.
Then we've got Doomsday Hunters. These developers, another small team, really care about this game. They were so happy when we covered it on the channel. I remember seeing an email or a tweet, something like that, where they were just like, yes, thank you.
Yeah.
And that video blew up. I think it had like 200,000 views or something. Great game. I guess it came in the wake of Hades, where people were looking for those types of experiences quite a lot. And this does that, but does it very well. Quite concise, actually. Like each stage has its own interconnected square rooms, a bit like that disc room game that we played.
Oh yeah, okay.
And then within them, you fight the enemies, you try and defeat them, the usual, you know, using kind of a twin stick approach. Very enjoyable, good meta progression as well. And I think it's a bit of a hidden gem still, just by its very nature. 63% off though, until the 20th of June is a great price.
Right, this next one is exclusive to North American regions. It has to be, I'm afraid. That's Dying Light, the definitive edition, because it's not on the European eShop. So 80% off this one at the minute for the definitive edition. As I said, this is a really good game, isn't it? First person shooter, but there's more to it than that, isn't there?
Yeah, it's like a first person shooter parkour RPG zombie 'em up.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, that's what they should have said in their advertising.
Should have been on the title.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is weird that it's not available in Europe still. It's just never going to happen, is it?
Yeah, it stems from
Germany.
Germany, yeah. There's a restriction law in Germany when it comes to violence in video games. I don't know the full story, but because Nintendo of Europe's headquarters is in Germany, I suppose there was no way of differentiating one country within a region, so they had to take it off of the regions, Eshop being Europe, of course, which is a shame. It doesn't affect the physical version, so that's still floating about. I'd imagine it's hard to find for that very reason. But then there are other digital regions, you know, it's just saying it's a thing. And at 80% off at the minute until the 5th of July, just one to consider.
Yeah, that's got a great co-op as well.
Yeah, a lot of fun in co-op for sure.
Now, the game that Glen got me for my birthday is The Outer Wilds, and I've stuck it on the list because it's 40% off. We have tested this one actually on the Switch too, and it runs really nicely. So if you're considering buying it, it's a good way of playing it. It does run much better on the Switch 1 than it did at launch, but you will have a couple of hitches. Basically like a simulation game where it simulates a solar system and you can go between the different planets. A little bit like No Man's Sky, but on a much smaller, more curated scale. You know, everything's there by design, everything's placed there. There's no procedural generation, and it's difficult. The premise basically goes that you have a set amount of time before the world ends, and when the world ends, you have to restart again. And through each run, you're trying to gradually expand your knowledge of what's happening and how you can eventually stop this world-ending cataclysm. It's a good word, that.
Yeah, it's a good word, yeah.
The sale for Outer Wilds, as I say, is 40% off, and it goes on until July the 8th.
Right, next we've got Children of Morta. Again, the complete edition, this one at 76% off up until the 9th of July. This one we reviewed a while ago now. It was a good while ago. Really nice game. Has like roguelike elements. It's based around the family, isn't it? The Bergsons, I think they were called.
Yeah.
And like kind of their tale as the story goes on. Has like a dungeon crawler element to it as well, doesn't it?
In fact, it gave me like old school Diablo vibes.
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly right. But again, it's nice to see these complete editions go on sale for such large percentages. As I said, 76% off until the 9th of July. Yeah, really heavily recommend this one. Very good game.
How mothers keep everyone together in a time of struggle. Thousands of memories bring thousands of images.
My penultimate one then is Ashen, which is 75% off until July the 8th. This one is a Souls-like with a bit of a twist. There was like a village that you could improve and things. Performance was wonky at launch. We will be revisiting this one properly, and I have been reliably informed that it now is like silk on Switch 2.
Nice, nice.
So I'm looking forward to that and seeing how it runs. Again, as Glen said previously, if you've played it already, let us know down in the comments. I've got it installed like in the other room, so I will be taking a look later today. As far as the game goes, performance didn't hinder the experience for me a great deal on Switch 1. You know, it would hit its target most of the time. You had to move your way through this big land, fighting these grim bosses. There's another game where I got absolutely destroyed on the first boss multiple times. But I liked the persistency, if that is even a word. Is that a word? The persistency, I'm going with it, of the town area and how new survivors would join you and build up like the forge and stuff. It's a good game, this. And there's a DLC that is the hardest thing you'll ever play in your life that's usually on sale. I think it's called Night Isle. Yeah, check that out if you've got the main game. But as I say, Ashen, 75% off until July the 8th.
Okay, the next one that maybe some people haven't heard of, it's called Smelter, and it's a hybrid in terms of its gameplay. It has your classic kind of 2D action platforming stages, but then it has a top-down strategy element to it too. It reminds me a little bit, and I will say a little bit, of ActRaiser.
Yes.
You know, the classic Super Nintendo game, which has got a remake on the Switch, which I very much enjoyed. I don't know if everyone did, but I certainly did. Yeah, it reminds me of that. And the story is pretty wild. You play as Eve, as in Adam and Eve.
Oh, wow.
Trying to save Adam.
Okay.
But yeah, like I say, you go from these platforming sections into these top-down strategy parts. Yeah, it had some frustrating moments. I did review this one, but on the whole, I did enjoy it. And it's 60% off at the moment until the 10th of July.
Where has Adam gone? Has he gone to like the kebabbery? He's like, oh, he's gone off down the shops.
I can't remember. I mean, you're treated to a cutscene that will explain all, I'm sure. But I don't know if it was something to do with a snake.
Right.
Whether he got involved.
They're having a picnic. He's eating a couple of apples.
Yeah, I think you know he's up to his old tricks again.
Oh,
blighter.
oh.
Yeah, no, decent game. Decent game.
My last one is Cocoon. This is a very small, I think maybe solo indie dev again, 60% off. This looks great, great looking game. I will say I haven't finished this one. I've played the first boss and a little bit past it, but it has an incredibly interesting game design whereby you almost has like a kaleidoscope effect. Like you'll finish a puzzle and the camera will zoom right out and it's difficult to, you like warp into these other areas. It's got a fluidity to it. I'm sure the trailer will do a much better job of showing that, but it got rave reviews. People were like, this is bloody fantastic. And I'm sure he created another very popular game. I'm sorry, I've forgotten the name. You're probably typing it in the comments, but he's very well respected in the scene, the indie scene.
The indie scene, yeah.
That's Cocoon, 60% off until July the 8th.
Lovely. Right, the last one, I think, is Mortal Kombat 11 Ultimate. So another Ultimate Edition. This one is 85% off until the 14th of July. So this includes the base game, of course. It includes the guest characters, of which there are some very good ones in 11. You have Robocop, Rambo, the T-800, Spawn, the Joker. Meh, he was a bit meh, but whatever. And it has the Aftermath DLC included as well, which I loved. It took the story in a different direction, which they then kind of used as the basis for Mortal Kombat 1 story mode. And it included the likeness and voice acting of Hiroyuki Tagawa, who played Shang Tsung in the Mortal Kombat film back in the day and reprises his role here in video game form. Now, I love Mortal Kombat 11. When it released, some people were a bit iffy on it, and I think people have learnt to love it more now that 1's out and they don't like that one as much.
Yeah.
But I thought it was great from day one. Runs okay on Switch. We haven't tested 11 on Switch 2.
No.
We have tested 1 on Switch 2. A lot of numbers there, that was confusing.
All the numbers.
But just playing it on the Switch 1, I enjoyed it enough to certainly recommend it. The Ultimate Edition at 85% off.
That then takes us on to the SAVALOYS selection, and there are some ridiculous deals on. And I will say before I do this, when we first recorded this episode, the big Nintendo sale with all the first party discounts wasn't actually available. That's now up. So if you want some discounts on, you know, some of the bigger Nintendo names, they're doing their classic like 30%-ish off. So go check those out. But we need our Fed Cooks, our SAVALOYS, our delicious little treats that we probably shouldn't buy, but they're right there by the checkout, so we have to. First up, we've got Tormented Souls at just £1.69. That's 90% off until July the 9th. That's the cheapest it's ever been. A cracking game, and it had a nice update after launch that improved it quite a bit. You've got Nexamon Extinction, which is £3.39. That's 80% off until July the 9th. Another that's its lowest ever price. Metal Max Xeno Reborn is well worth £3.49. That's 90% off. And by the way, in the Nexamon games, you can grab those as a double pack. But Metal Max Xeno is a really unique game, set within like the wastelands of the Tokyo Bay ruins. You've got your tank that you travel around on, you can upgrade and improve it, and there is a whole storyline as well. Bad North Jotun Edition is just $2.99 in the American regions until July the 10th, a really fun little strategy game where you're fighting off invading hordes to your little islands. And just one little extra section, it's a few games that have seen big improvements on the Nintendo Switch 2. So you've got the Plucky Squire at 30% off, that's its cheapest ever price. This now runs at a flawless 60 frames per second. It's a much more enjoyable experience. It's down to $20.99 or your regional equivalent. And then Darksiders 3, which is 70% off. That matches its cheapest ever price. This one is beautiful to play now on Switch 2. I did a full dedicated video on it, just visiting every aspect, but it was really that performance. Now it's 60 frames per second all the time, and it's one of my favorites in the series. It just played so badly on Switch 1. So that's it really. We did a kind of little FarmuP revisit. We went down to the allotment, had a little look. Things are looking all right. They're kind of ready for harvesting now. Have a little look. What are we on for? Well, strawberries aren't really growing very well.
Are you doing your FarmuP?
Yeah. This is just, yeah, there's more potatoes than you can shake a stick at. Oh well. What are you washing now, is it?
Carrot and strawberry.
Ah, okay. Nice. Very nice. The onions are basically good to go. There's a couple of giant ones. We just take potatoes as we need them.
Daddy,
Oh, yeah.
can you move this chair, please?
Yeah, will do. No worries. So that's it for this week. That was FarmuP, that was SwitchUp, that was the sales episode where hopefully your backlog has seen a few new additions. I mean, with the advent of the Switch 2, for those that have got it, it's great because obviously you're playing these games at a better frame rates. And for those who haven't, we're starting to see some lowest ever price discounts so you can keep growing that front log, side log and backlog. Thank you to our Patreons and members, all of you that enjoy our content, and as always, for all things Switch all the time, keep it Switch up. Cheers guys, see ya.